Tampa Bay Bucks, 30. Jacksonville Jaguars, 12. More AFC South sadness here, Sam. Bucks moved to 8-7 and even more control over the NFC South. Of course, they're playing the Saints next week with the chance to, I believe, clinch the division if they win. Bucks are on a roll right now, and Jags are absolutely reeling with their fourth straight loss.
Yeah, brutal Trevor Lawrence performance. He got hurt again. He's now gotten hurt. Has he been knocked out of 3 straight games with different injuries?
With all different injuries. I mean, we weren't joking. We were listing. He's had 5 different injuries, 4 or 5 different injuries in the last half season, like in the last 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And he picked up another one in this game.
Yeah, he hasn't missed a game, right? But he's been knocked out of 3 consecutive games.
And this was, on Monday, he went into concussion protocol, and there's something like a 22% chance that you're going to make it out of concussion protocol and play, and he did. He traveled on Saturday, which was like the thing, that if he travels to Tampa on Saturday, he'll play.
Yeah.
He did. He played and then got hurt with something else.
Right. I don't know that you can say they would have been better without him because, C.J. Beathard. Beathard played fine, but I'm not saying that would have been better. But still, Trevor Lawrence did not help in this performance against Tampa Bay. Generally, I mean, he threw an interception to Devin White. Now, look, it was a good play by Devin White, but Devin White getting an interception in this economy, it's not a good. I am fair here, Sam.
It's
not a good endorsement of your play as a quarterback, is all I'm saying.
I am very fair here, and I actually forgot to put my. There was a very bad Devin White stat that I forgot to interject into the podcast last week.
Yeah.
It was on the cutting room floor for the 2.5-hour show last week.
Right. A lot of stuff.
But in my notes, Devin White balled out. This was the game, right? There's every now and again, and I think week 1 of this season was similar for Devin White.
Best graded player on the team.
Yeah. There are games where Devin White does all the things that some people thought he was doing for years, which is being like awesome in coverage and being an awesome, great blitzer and flying around the field and making plays. But he was doing that in this game. Devin White had an excellent game for the Bucs. They've had this tumultuous few weeks where he was hurt and he was kind of benched and he wasn't really benched and now he's out there balling. They lit a fire.
Are these numbers correct? Do you know how many times he rushed the passer in this game?
Is it a bunch?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Whatever number you're thinking of, it's more.
Oh, I see it now. 30.
He like only Kalijah Kancey rushed the passer more than he did. That's insane. For an off-the-ball linebacker, 30 times?
Did they move him to edge? I didn't notice that specifically.
That's a crazy number.
No, he's lining up B gap. They're sugaring A gaps all day.
That's a third of his pass rushing snaps this season in one game.
Yeah, that's an insane level of blitz.
I've never seen that number from an actual off-the-ball linebacker.
I wonder. One thing I'm curious about, when NFL teams put in game plans, I wonder how much they expected Beathard to start. If you're going to blitz that much, or if it was like we're still going to do this against Lawrence because we want, he's just not seeing the field very well. And again, the thing I mentioned about Trevor Lawrence a few weeks ago is he had those games where it felt like he is upping the difficulty level. And everything about the Jags feels like you're upping the difficulty level. We highlighted that on the preview show too. There's no run game. There's no screen game. There's no easy with the Jags offense. So you pretty much are asking the quarterback to hit these tight window throws in the 15 to 25-yard range. And when you do it, it's like, man, that's pretty. Good job, Trevor. When you don't, it's ugly. And it's these last few weeks in Jacksonville. I wonder if they were just like, let's continue to, dial it up, even if it is Trevor Lawrence in there. Because a lot of times teams will go in with 2 game plans too. We got a Beathard game plan or a Trevor Lawrence game plan. I do wonder how much of this was built for Beathard though, as a guy that probably doesn't have a lot of experience facing the blitz. Right, he's the backup.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's probably applicable to both, and this was just the game plan. 61% of the time, Trevor Lawrence was blitzed, and it went bad for Tampa or for Jacksonville. Like the Bucs. It worked. They were able to destroy him. Baker Mayfield on the other side had another pretty good game. Baker's going to be a fascinating offseason decision for them.
I think he's a Buck next year. I mean, if they win this game against the Saints,
But what is that contract? Because he's getting paid nothing this year. I mean, he's on a $4 million contract. He's getting paid bad backup money.
Yeah, I know.
That's how bad his career went since leaving Cleveland. It went from he could probably be a pretty good option starting in Carolina to you're going to take $4 million and we're probably going to start you, but you still don't deserve any more than that. That's how bad you've been the last year and a half.
Yeah.
That's basically the decision they gave him. And he went, yeah, cool. Sounds good.
They're on an absolute run right now. I mean, last week was one of the best games Baker Mayfield has ever played. Again, it was against the Packers.
Right.
There was a lot of free yards in there and what have you. But he was throwing the ball unbelievably. And he did it again in this game. And he's playing with incredible confidence. And, Dave Canales coming in, you could kind of tell early in the season, Canales was doing a good job in his first year as offensive coordinator for the Bucs. And then there was a lull in the middle of the season, and it's like, all right, Canales can only do so much because they're still dealing with maybe a top-heavy group of receivers, and the running game was unable to get going. They've started to click, man, and they've started to, they feed Mike Evans. Chris Godwin has really stepped up in recent weeks. And then Canales will start getting, he'll have a couple plays a game where it's him, right? He's schemed up some nice screen touchdowns and the seam to Rashad White. So it's all starting to kind of come together. And I think the bottom line for Canales is to get Baker Mayfield to play confident. Whatever he's done, right? Because we saw Mayfield as a rookie just be like, all right, I'm Baker Mayfield. I'm the first overall pick. I'm confident. And then 2019, he's over there like, I got Craig Robinson's my left tackle. I got to get rid of the ball. Whatever Canales has done, forget the play calling, forget the scheme or whatever. He's got Baker Mayfield playing confident to where he hits the top of his drop and he will rip the post. He'll rip the out, whatever it is. And Mayfield can do that. Great velocity, and he's playing with such confidence this year. And I think it's all started to come together, in addition to the play calling, in addition to getting more playmakers involved and getting Chris Godwin playing to the level that he can, and getting the run game going. And that's why the Bucs are hot right now. Offense is cooking, and they've got the NFC South in their sights.
Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield's been playing really well for them. It is an interesting dynamic with him because I think his confidence probably did fall apart in the NFL, but which is unusual because you would have assumed that was a fairly bulletproof part of his nature given his backstory in college, right? Like he'd been a walk-on multiple times, winning starting jobs and then going on to absolutely dominate. You would think anybody that does that, and it's like, I don't care, I'll just go walk on the next team and do it again. Like anyone that has that level of self-belief, it feels like they shouldn't have had it completely fall apart in the NFL. When let's face it, he'd played reasonably well for periods. So it's not even as if you show up. Like Drew Lock gave that interview after his game where he'd sort of said, like his confidence fell apart. Like he went from big man on campus, great college player, albeit at a lower-ish level than some of these other guys, and then got to the NFL, had been not good, and he was sort of asking himself, man, can I do it at this level? Baker, A, I would have said had a higher self-confidence level to begin with, and B, there's at least evidence that he can do it at this level. So it seems unusual to me that guy would suffer a crisis of confidence, and maybe that's not what happened, but there's definitely something to, I think Baker Mayfield plays at his best when he is in a bulletproof mental state, where he just goes out there, it's him against the world, like he's feeling it and just crushes people and has fun while doing it. Like that was his college career, that was early in his Browns career, and that's where he is right now because the Bucs offense still isn't in the best place in the world. Like the offensive line is not what it was when Tom Brady was winning a Super Bowl. It's not, it's not perfect, and yet he's still playing really well, still playing well under pressure, still playing well on third downs. Like this is pretty close to as good a version of Baker Mayfield as you get.
Yeah, and again, I think you're right, man. I mean, I had mentioned the run game getting going, not necessarily in this game. I'm saying like in recent weeks, but in this game when they were in third and longs and they needed big plays, it's just a really good mix of the screen game's been outstanding the last couple weeks. They're creating downfield throws. Baker's hitting big time throws and ripping the ball down the field 15 to 25 yards in that range. So it's coming together, and they're headed for the Saints next week, who are reeling. And Saints in Tampa has been a thing the last couple of years, but does that even matter? Is that still a thing now? It's going to be a good one, I think, next week. For Jacksonville, again, every team in the top of the AFC South is sitting there at 8-7. Jags have the Panthers next week, so it's not all lost, but they got some stuff to figure out with a banged up Trevor Lawrence and an offense that just again, there's just not a lot of easy for the Jags offense right now.
I mean, when you're considering they were there with the Ravens battling for the number 1 seed a couple of weeks ago, and
just
now,
4 weeks ago,
right? And now they're clinging on for the playoffs.
It's not great.
No.
So, anything else on this game?
No, we're done with this game.
Congrats to Devin White.
Congrats
Very
to
good
Devin
game
White.
for Devin White.
Absolutely. I have a second update on the turnover-worthy plays thing. Only 3 players also had 8. So the 7 from Nick Mullins this week is one of the 7.
Tied for 7th.
Right, is one of the most 7 egregious games in PFF history in terms of turnover-worthy plays in a single game.
Can I get the years?
So let's do the 8 ones first. We'll fire through those. 2015 conference championship.
Oh, that was Carson Palmer. Injured
8.
Carson Palmer. Yeah.
Wrecked thumb, was it?
Yeah.
Thumb or finger? Carson Palmer.
They were playing
8.
from behind, and he's just chucking it.
8 turnover-worthy plays in an NFC championship
Ruined his
game.
grade that year.
Disaster.
Ruined his grade.
That took him. Yeah, he was like MVP that year, and that took him down like for the Stevenson and stuff. End of year 101, like that dropped him to like 15
He went from
spaces.
like a 92 to like an 88
Horrendous.
or something, whatever it was.
2007.
2007. There were some bad teams that year. Cleo Lemon have a game.
We are talking the most archetypal.
Kurt Warner?
The most archetypal gunslinger in NFL history.
Well, Jameis.
No, Brett Favre.
Oh, Favre.
Brett Favre had an 8 turnover-worthy play
In 07
game
with
in
the
07.
Packers. It's last year with the Packers.
Week 6. And then Mark Sanchez, 2010.
I saw somebody mention Sanchez in the chat.
Yep.
2010, Mark Sanchez.
So you got 2 guys left to get that had 9
Can I get the seasons?
seasons. 2006, both of them, in fact, within 2 weeks of each other.
In 06.
Yep.
All right.